President Biden is touting new job numbers. According to the Department of Labor, more than 900,000 new jobs were created in March. Last month, the overall unemployment rate also dropped to its lowest point since the start of the pandemic. In remarks Friday, the president shared an optimistic message to Americans hit hard by the pandemic.
This morning, we've learned that our economy created 900,000 jobs in March. It means the first 2 months of our administration has seen more new jobs created than the first 2 months in any administration in history. But we still have a long way to go to get our economy back on track after the worst economic and job crisis in nearly a century. But my message to the American people is this: help is here. Opportunity is coming. When we invest in the American people, it's not just those at the top that make our economy grow. They're the ones that make it grow, ordinary Americans.
For more now, I want to bring in CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordes. So, Nancy, let's stick with this theme of jobs, because even as President Biden was touting the job growth, we still have not overcome the job losses that we've seen during this pandemic. And the White House has been touting this $2 trillion infrastructure plan, which President Biden says will create millions of jobs and grow the economy. But Republicans say raising taxes to pay for the plan will actually have the opposite effect. So how is the White House responding to that?
Well, they're pointing to this Moody's report and claiming that their package would create 19 million jobs, which sounds like a pretty large estimate, but that's what they're going with. The president has been talking about it. His cabinet secretaries have been talking about it. And that's the argument that they're making, that this is going to spur economic growth by putting people to work on all of these infrastructure projects, by connecting people to work, either by getting them broadband or creating better transportation so they can get to their place of work or someplace that they couldn't have gotten to before to get a job. Obviously, this is a long-term proposition. Some of these transportation projects, infrastructure projects, will take years to complete. But this is the case that Democrats are making, and they're going to have to make it directly to the American public, because at this point, it doesn't appear, as you pointed out, Lana, that they're going to be able to get many Republicans on board because of the corporate tax hikes that are part of this plan.
Well, Nancy, one of the most essential players in the Biden White House when it comes to job creation is Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo. She is one of the 5 cabinet secretaries that President Biden has put in charge of selling his infrastructure plan to the American people. You spoke with her. What were some of the key takeaways from your conversation?
Well, obviously, the president chose her because she has this unique mix of both public service and private sector experience that makes her an ideal candidate to run the sprawling Commerce Department, 46,000 employees. This is an agency that encompasses everything from the National Weather Service to the U.S. Patent Office to the U.S. Census. And so she sits atop it now. She is a former Rhodes Scholar. She is a former private equity investor who became the governor of Rhode Island, which is what she was doing until about a month ago when she became the Secretary of Commerce. And her focus, she told me, really is jobs, transferring people who may have lost work during the pandemic into job training programs that can enable them to get more high-skilled jobs, trying to woo investment and manufacturing, particularly high-skill manufacturing, back to the United States, and working with both industry leaders here in the U.S. and partners around the world to send the message that a consistent line from the U.S. is back, particularly when it comes to the economy. I mean, the case that she made to me, Lana, was that when she talks to U.S. allies, there is a palpable sense of relief that this government is no longer issuing policy directives by tweet, and that they know what they can expect from the United States. And so she's working with partners around the world and industry partners here at home to try to boost job numbers, knowing that that will be the biggest marker of not just her own success, but really this administration's success.
No. Nancy, before I let you go, the White House lowered its flags to half-staff to honor the Capitol Police officer killed in Friday's attack. What more can you tell us about how the president has responded to this event?
Well, the president is in Camp David for the weekend with his family celebrating Easter with some members of his family. He had actually left before this incident took place, but he issued a statement saying that he and Jill were heartbroken to learn of the violent attack, and he said he is receiving ongoing briefings from his Homeland Security advisor. So he will be kept abreast throughout the weekend, getting further updates as the investigation proceeds. Obviously, yet another tragedy to befall this one police department, the Capitol Police Force, which only has about 2,300 officers and civilian employees. So it is a tight-knit group. It is a group that President Biden himself knows well because he served in Congress for 3 decades. And many of the officers that he interacted with back then are still on the force. And so it is a personal thing for this president, and of course for the members of Congress and the Capitol Police officers who are now having to endure yet another tragedy after losing a couple other officers just 3 months ago during the insurrection on January 6th.
Yeah. All right, Nancy, thank you.
You're welcome.